agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of the members present. I declare the motion as amended passed.
Members' motion with no legislative effect. Mr. Tommy Cheung's motion on reviewing the effectiveness of the small class teaching mode in primary and secondary schools. Mr. CHU Kwok-keung will move an amendment to the motion. This council will proceed to a joint debate on the motion and the amendment. I will first call upon Mr. Tommy Cheung to speak and move the motion, and then I'll call upon Mr. CHU Kwok-keung to speak, but he may not move the amendment at this stage. The joint debate now begins. Members who wish to speak, please press the request to speak button. I now invite Mr. Tommy Cheung to speak and move the motion. Mr. President, today's motion is on reviewing the effectiveness of the small class teaching mode in primary and secondary schools. Since 2009 and 10 school year, the government gradually introduced small class teaching in public primary schools so as to enhance the interactions between teachers and students and enhance the effectiveness of teaching learning. Now, for primary 1 allocation, the standard class size is 25. And then starting from the next school year, the class size would go up to 30. In 25-26, about 95% of public sector primary schools have practiced small class teaching. For secondary 1, in order to operate a class, the class size should be a minimum of 25 students. That means the school should at least admit 25 plus 1 in order to run 2 classes. So that means on average 13 students per class. Small class teaching is the government policy. In secondary schools, the small class teaching mode has not been introduced, but according to statistics, on average, the number each class in the secondary school has only 28 students, so it's de facto small class teaching. As a result, well, instead of using small class teaching, we use small class teaching mode to describe what's happening in primary and secondary schools to differentiate the difference from the established policy. Now, the government has continued to increase education expenses despite decline in school-age population. According to statistics in 2007-2008, the number of primary school students and secondary school students were respectively 385,949 as well as 482,414. But in 2023-24, these two numbers have gone down to 325,000 and 328,000. Government education spending, however, has continued to go up. According to records starting from 2007-08, for primary secondary schools, the recurrent spending were respectively 11 and 18 billion dollars, but by 2023-24, the figures respectively have gone up to 26 and 33 billion dollars respectively. I agree that education is very crucial to the future development of Hong Kong, but after all, is a major expenditure item. So, in face of the structural decline in school-age population, the Liberal Party is against the practice of pegging education spending to GDP as a hard indicator. Instead, we should gauge the effectiveness of school management. For example, we need to consider a decline in the school-age population for both primary and secondary schools. If we continue to adopt this GDP-pegged approach, it will cause wastage of resources. We are of the view that we should review the effectiveness of small class teaching mode. And it's not just about reducing the teacher-to-student ratio. Instead, we should make use of small class teaching to enhance learning and teaching, and that the teacher's professional capacity can be enhanced. The Education Bureau should also provide professional development activities so that teachers can adapt themselves to a small class teaching mode and adopt diversified teaching strategies. Small class teaching could enhance the efficiency of teaching and learning. We can also better cater for the needs of those with special needs and the learning differences. I think that the teachers should also cater for the diverse needs of students. There should be sufficient time for students to have classroom discussions. There should be sufficient time for them to acquire knowledge. And also group activities should be the focus in learning so as to enhance the efficiency. Now, I urge the government to review the effectiveness of small class teaching mode in primary and secondary schools so as to bring the greatest benefit to students as well as parents. I look forward to collective wisdom in this council so that we can think further about the future of public sector schools. The Education Bureau should also review the teaching methods and all the arrangements so as to make sure that small class teaching is effective. We have fewer students in each class. It's de facto small class teaching. But some teachers continue to adopt the traditional mode of teaching in a big class. And that is exactly where the problem lies. Now, in the face of a fiscal deficit, we should optimize the use of resources. The government should review the effectiveness of small class teaching at the macro level. Now, Mr. CHU Kwok-keung's amendment has changed the meaning of my original motion. It has narrowed down the scope. The government should also suggest review small class teaching in primary schools, and that the government should explore the feasibility of adopting SCT in the secondary schools. I think it has changed the original meaning, and it has narrowed the scope. Now, according to the rules of procedure, of course, it's a member's right to make amendments, propose amendments to the original motion in a members' motion debate. However, there is also a convention that members should respect each other. Of course, any member may move an amendment to the motion, but the purpose is usually to elaborate the original motion and perhaps to give a boost to the motion so as to urge the government to take forward certain policy initiative and to benefit everybody. Nobody should hijack the original motion. If the amendment involves a total overhaul of the original motion such that there is no longer any focus, then this is not the purpose of moving amendments. Now, if the member does not agree with the original motion, what he should do is to make opposing arguments in the debate, or this member may even vote against or abstain from voting on the motion. The member may as well move another contrary motion in the future. But on this occasion, Mr. CHU Kwok-keung has moved an amendment which goes against my original motion. It also loses the focus of my demand for review of the SCT mode in primary and secondary schools. Now, members' debate slots are really valuable. Each member may only move to such motion 2 or 3 times in each session. In order to urge the government to take action on some issues close to the heart of members, we need to really cherish these opportunities. But I've noticed that at least in this term, on more than one occasion, members' motions have been amended to an extent that it totally lost the original purpose. I think that no hijacking should be allowed. We should all respect each other. I hope that the motion will spark the concern of issue, and I think LegCo should also review the relevant rules and provide guidelines on how amendments are to be moved. Now, I'd like to apologize to members who are going to speak on today's motion, and based on the above reasons, I have decided not to move the above motion.
As Mr. Tommy Cheung has indicated, he will not move the motion. Sorry, there's a point of order. Point of order. Mr. Cheung commented on the amendment in depth during his turn, so I want to share my thoughts on the point of order. You are supposed to raise the point of order only. You're not supposed to be sharing your thoughts. What's the point of order? It's Rule 35 of the Rules of Procedure. Before you vote, if you want to withdraw your motion, you have to ask whether members have any objection, and then with an agreement, you can withdraw the motion. You cannot just withdraw after you have started the motion. At the moment's notice, please be seated. You have raised your point of order. Please have a seat. I have noted your view. Please be seated. First, Mr. Cheung did not say he wanted to withdraw his motion. According to the Rules of Procedure, if a member does not move the motion, I cannot allow the Council to proceed with the debate. Since Mr. Cheung has indicated he will not proceed with the motion, we will not have a debate on this motion. I suspend the Council until the 2nd of April, 2025, 11 a.m.